Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you are watching Boyd News. Want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got a breaking news report coming out from Europe, and I've got more information today that NATO is actively preparing for a major war with Russia in the future. This is something we've been hearing a lot about over the last 6 months to a year now, but I've got a new update for you here on your screen. NATO calls for a fivefold increase in European air defense systems. NATO is urging European member states to fivefold their ground based air defense capabilities as the alliance tries to fill critical gaps in its defenses against Russia. Okay, guys, so this is a very big story today. Air defense systems are not cheap, especially these Patriot systems that you see here. We have been hearing recently that NATO could be short on these. As we heard a story over the last couple weeks from U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he stated one time that the U.S. was completely out of Patriot air defense batteries that they could send over to Ukraine, but possibly Europe could have a few that they could send. Then we heard within a week after that that Europe was basically contemplating about sending anything over to Ukraine because their reserves are very low as well. We've also even heard that Ukraine is low on air defense interceptors also. So anything to do with air defense inside of Europe right now, or NATO in general, is in very low supply. So it really doesn't surprise me that NATO's calling for this. But this shows how much investment that NATO is going to be putting into creating more protection and defense capabilities for Europe to prepare for any potential war with Russia in the future. So I'm going to talk more about this today. I'm going to show you guys this report. And we also have some information coming out today and yesterday in regards to the UK that's massively rearming as well. So I want to show you guys that info also. So let's go ahead and jump into this over here on United 24 Media. NATO reportedly urges 5 times air defense boost in Europe over Russia threat. You can see the dates here, June 3rd, 2025. And it says right here, according to Bloomberg report published on June 3rd, NATO has called on its European member states to significantly increase their ground-based air defense forces in anticipation of potential future threats from Russia. Sources familiar with the matter told Bloomberg that the alliance has set an informal goal of increasing these air defense capacities fivefold across Europe. Individual targets will be tailored for each member state, though no specific timelines have been set. The issue is expected to be discussed during the upcoming NATO defense ministers meeting in Brussels later this week. A senior European military official speaking anonymously noted that there is a pressing need among NATO allies to expand ground-based air defense systems, which have seen significant reductions over the past 3 decades. The shift in NATO's strategic focus from Cold War era threats to challenges in the Middle East and North Africa contributed to this deadline, the source added. So real quick regarding this, I mean, think about, what is happening to Ukraine right now. Ukraine is just under constant aerial bombardment. We know they're short on air defense systems. They're short on interceptors for these air defense systems as well. And look at what happens to Ukraine with all these drones entering into Ukraine, all these missiles. Many of them strike their targets, causing massive destruction and loss of life. So, probably a lot of these European nations that are part of NATO are worried as well that this could be happening to them next, as we've been hearing lots of reports that maybe even as soon as this summer, could Russia be preparing some sort of provocative actions towards maybe some of the Baltic nations. They're going to be doing some major military exercises inside of Belarus this summer within the next couple of months. And, NATO's definitely worried about that. So clearly, I think Europe is understanding the major concern here of having air defense, and the fact that they're short across all of NATO, that's not a good sign, right? So finally, it says here, this initiative is part of a broader push to enhance NATO's overall defense readiness and spending. Bloomberg reports that under growing pressure from former U.S. President Donald Trump, the alliance is expected to adopt a new spending benchmark of 5% of GDP, with 3.5% allocated directly to defense and another 1.5% towards related areas such as infrastructure, cyber defense, and civil protection. Previously, it was reported that in a newly publicized document, Russia presented a proposed memorandum for a ceasefire in its ongoing war against Ukraine. The draft sets out a series of demands and structured timeline for negotiations and implementation. Yeah, we know Ukraine is still reviewing that memorandum right now, but a large majority of it, we know they're not going to agree to it. So crazy what we're seeing happening over here inside of Europe. They're definitely waking up and realizing that Russia is a real threat and war could be on the horizon. So they're getting ready right now. So quickly, I want to talk about the UK as well before we close out this video. We're going to briefly go over this from United 24 Media also, and it says UK pledges £2 billion for drone development following Ukraine battlefield experience. Okay, you can see the date here also, June 3rd, 2025, came out today. And it says here, UK government will invest £2 billion, approximately $2.7 billion, in drone technology, drawing on Ukraine's experience in drone warfare, The Guardian reported on June 3rd, citing the recently released Strategic Defense Review. The review prioritizes both affordable strike drones and more expensive reusable systems. It also calls for establishing a dedicated drone center to facilitate knowledge sharing and improve coordination across the armed forces. According to The Guardian, Defense Secretary John Healey told lawmakers that military will become 10 times more lethal by combining drone and artificial intelligence technologies with heavy armor such as tanks and artillery. The review describes drones as an essential element of land warfare and stresses the need to invest in strike drones, reconnaissance UAVs, and drone countermeasures. So this is the way warfare is going in the future, guys. I mean, drone warfare is already here. The Ukraine and Russia war already exposed it. And, many other nations, including the UK here, clearly understand that it's their job to now reinvest into their own defense and start producing drones, as they're very effective on both sides, whether it be Ukraine or Russia utilizing these. They do a lot of heavy damage and are very cheap and easy to produce. So the UK realized that they're going to be investing £2 billion just in drone technology. So that's huge for the UK. And also, there was a story that came out yesterday, and I want to briefly go over this as well, as I was not able to cover it. I feel like this was kind of a story that somewhat got buried, at least on X. No one was really talking about it. A few people brought it up, but it was very short-lived. But here's a story from CNN World. The UK to build new attack submarines and ramp up warfighting readiness with eye on Russia, Starmer says. Okay, you see the date here now, June 2nd, 2025. That was yesterday. And just a couple paragraphs here. It says Britain will build new attack submarines, invest billions on nuclear warheads, and move toward warfighting readiness. Prime Minister Keir Starmer said Monday, shortly before the publication of a landmark review of the future of the country's military. That's exactly what Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO, said. Okay, he said that NATO needs to move towards a warfighting preparedness or readiness or mindset, right? So that NATO needs to get prepared for any kind of conflict with Russia in the future, and first present a show of strength and force to prevent Russia from ever attacking. And if they do, they need to have the capabilities to do so. So that's what the UK is doing right now. Starmer government said it would build up to 12 new attack submarines as part of its AUKUS partnership with the United States and Australia, replacing the country's current class of 7 subs from the late 2030s. Yes, apparently they've got 7, and from what I understand, they're going to replace them with 12 new attack submarines that will replace the 7 they currently have, and that'll add an extra, 5 more to their fleet. So you can see massive rearmament just right there as well. And he will launch historic renewal of the UK's nuclear deterrent, backed by a £15 billion pound investment, that is, or $20.3 billion investment, Starmer said in his speech in Scotland on Monday. So also upgrading their nuclear forces as well. So, I mean, this is huge, guys. NATO is really getting ready for a major altercation at some point with Russia or maybe another adversary in the future. But clearly right now, we heard a story from the UK just over the last few days that they were labeling Russia as like a major imminent threat, compared to any other nation right now. Okay, so many countries within Europe understands that this threat is real. They're getting ready right now. We've been seeing so many reports like this. Just wanted to share this information with you guys, let you know that if you live in Europe, many countries are getting ready for a massive war with Russia in the future. Now, not calling for that, and I hope it never happens, but they understand that the threat is real and it can happen at any moment. So let me know what you guys think about all these details down below in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.